Welcome to 18th Century Cooking with James Townsend and Son. Today we're going to be cooking a traditional seagoing dish called Lobscouse. Back in our second season, we showed you how to make ship's bread, or hardtack as it's sometimes known, in the 19th century. This food was a staple for 18th century sailors, sometimes issued to soldiers or given to travelers also. The problem with this food is that it's very difficult to eat. And so there were special dishes made just to make use of this very sturdy food. One of these special dishes is called lobscouse. Lobscouse is a bit of a generic term in the 18th century for a simple kind of stew made with meat, with ship's bread, and sometimes vegetables. Now, none of the 18th century cookbooks I've looked at reference lobscouse specifically, but there are references to it in 18th century literature, and these give us some really good hints as to what it would be like. In Francis Grouse's 1785, a classic dictionary of the vulgar tongue, he describes lobscouse as this: a dish much eaten at sea, composed of salt beef, biscuit, onions, well peppered, and stewed together. And Janet Shaw in 1774 wrote this in her Journal of a Lady of Quality. She writes, "Lobscouse is one of the most savory dishes I ever ate. It is composed of salt beef, hung by a string over the side of the ship till rendered tolerably fresh, and then cut into nice little pieces, and with potatoes, onions, and pepper, is stewed for some time. And with the addition of a portion of water, this is my favorite dish." Let's get started. Today we're going to be using fresh beef. In the 18th century, it's more likely you're going to be using a salt pork or a salt beef. If you're going to be using a salt beef or a salt pork, then you need to soak this first. You'll need to have the salt meat in fresh water for a couple of hours. Probably want to change the water once or twice to get rid of the excess salt. First, we're going to chop up our meat into its small pieces. I'm using about a pound, maybe a pound and a half. This I'm using chuck roast. You can get stew meat from the grocery store. That'll work great too. There we go. There's all our meat chopped up. Also, let's chop up some onion to go with it. Let's get our meat browned up. I've got some drippings here. The ship's cook would have used slush, which is the drippings that come to the top of the meat while it's boiling. Earlier I put 2 quarts of water in a cast iron pot to get it nice and hot. If you are using salt beef, you don't have to brown it like this. All you need to do is put it in the cold water and then start it boiling. If you're using fresh beef like this, you want to brown it first and then you want to put it into boiling water. The water is boiling, so we can put the meat directly in. Now we've got our meat in here. We're going to allow this to boil about an hour or until the meat is nice and tender. We want to make sure to check it every once in a while so that the water doesn't all boil away. And if you've got a lid for your pot, it's a good time to put a lid on it. Now that this is boiling, let's prepare our other ingredients. Lobscouse doesn't necessarily have to have vegetables, but vegetables make a great addition to this. We're going to peel and chop up a couple of potatoes and several carrots. We're also going to need pounded up ship's biscuit. And I've got some fresh biscuits here. Well, they're still nice and hard. I've also got some of the very old biscuits, and the old ones you want to check for bugs. It was common in the 18th century for the biscuits to have bugs in them, and even today they very easily get bugs. If you look at these biscuits here, you'll see the little worms in there. It's usually they're easy to tell right off the bat because you look in the little holes, and if you see a little bit of something like sawdust, that means there are weevils or worms inside of your biscuit. It looks like that if you use whole wheat in your biscuits, they're a little more likely to get worms. The ones where you use a white bleached flour, they seems like the worms don't like them quite as well. Anyway, I'm going to pick out about a pound of biscuits here that don't look like they have too many worms in them. Put them in a nice cloth here. In a pudding bag would be good. And take a rolling pin or a tomahawk, or on board ship they'd probably use a marlin spike. There, our biscuits are all pounded up and ready. Let's go see how our meat's doing. The meat's tender enough. It's been boiling about an hour. We can go ahead and put in our potatoes and carrots at this point. We're going to let this boil for another 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to add our pounded up biscuits. Let's give this a little stir. Get everything nice and mixed up. If you want a very soupy mixture, then you want to put these potatoes and especially the ship's biscuit in a little bit later, like I did here. If you want it to be very thick, then you want to put this ship's biscuit in very early. Sometimes as early as when you put the meat in to begin with, or more likely in right there with the potatoes and the carrots, and let them boil up for a good half hour. That'll make a very thick and hearty dish. I'll let this cook for another 15 minutes. This is one of the cast iron pots that we sell at James Townsend and Son. This is the 5-quart pot. We also have a smaller 2-quart pot. This pot is perfect for this kind of use. It spreads the heat out very evenly and is virtually indestructible pot. So if you'd accidentally leave it on the fire too long, you can't really damage the pot. You might have to re-season it, but that's it. While these are very heavy, they're also really good for this kind of use. This has been cooking for about 15 minutes and it looks perfect. It's thickened up nicely. So let's dish this up. Well, we've let this cool a little bit and it smells wonderful. Let's add some salt and pepper to it first. Usually this is made with salt beef and salt pork. So it's naturally going to be a little bit saltier. So I'm going to add some salt to it because this was just fresh stuff. And of course, they call for pepper in a lot of the descriptions. Wow, this is really excellent. Sort of like a sailor's beef stew. And the ship's biscuits are really good in this.